Hey, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining another TPI Exacq webinar. We've got David Seaton, the area sales manager with Exacq, and James Goddard, our sales engineer, here to present to us today about Illustra Analytics in Exacq VMS. David, I will let you take it from here.
Great. Thank you, Chloe. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. And I appreciate your time this morning. And yeah, one more in the series of webinars we're going to be doing. So again, just thank you so much for your time. I will be turning this over to James very quickly. James Goddard is our sales engineer. James covers the same territory I do, which includes Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and some of the states in the Rockies. But this morning we're talking about analytics, obviously a popular topic, something that we talk about every day. We want to see people, we want to see clothing, cars, objects left behind, all of those kind of things. And Exacq offers all of that. So I just want James to run through a demonstration of some of those analytics and how that works. We do want this to be interactive. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, speak up. We are here to help you, and we want you to get the most out of this. So with that, I will stop talking, and James Goddard, I will let you take it away.
Alrighty then. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. This is part PowerPoint, and then I'll also do a demo of analytics within the ExacqVision software towards the end, how you can actually leverage those analytics that are found on the edge of those more modern cameras. We're going to be using the Illustra cameras today to demo the analytics, but they also work with Axis and Hanwha cameras as well. Just a quick intro as far as I go. My name is James Goddard. I am a sales engineer for Exacq Technologies. I have been with the company since September of 2010. I started in the tech support department and then moved on to the technical training position where I would travel around the country and teach both the fundamental and enterprise levels of software. And then a few years back, I moved into the sales team, augment the sales team with technical knowledge, do product demos, visit customer sites, do some troubleshooting. So I like to think I know the software pretty well, and I'll be doing the presentation today. So the agenda for today, we are going to first just talk about the differences between motion detection and AI object classification. Most of you are probably used to recording on motion. It's been that way for several years now, well over a decade. But now with newer cameras, you can do AI object classification and detection and set up events and recording based on those. And it makes it a little bit easier to pinpoint critical events. What are the different rule types and why would you use them versus a single rule? We'll talk about that. What are the different object classes? So the different things that can be detected by AI capable cameras, or analytic, I should say, capable cameras. How to set it up in Exacq, how to search objects based on AI object analytics, and then how to create events or notification based on several of those analytic types. So let me go ahead and we'll move on here. So object analytics are at the camera edge, what the viewer sees and what the video is being recorded versus what the analytic camera detects and the metadata also being recorded shows. Whoops, didn't mean to click. Let me go back. So we are seeing an image on the left-hand side, and of course the camera, when we say camera edge, one point of clarification here is that the cameras are doing the heavy lifting as far as analytics go. So ExacqVision itself is not doing any analytics. This is why we can run on kind of lower end hardware. We don't need a really robust or powerful system to be able to run our hardware. You can run the software. You can run it off of pretty slim hardware, even with larger camera systems. But the cameras themselves are doing the heavy lifting when it comes to the analytics. They're detecting the objects, they are classifying them into person or vehicle, and then depending on the analytic camera, it may also be giving it some sort of characteristic like upper lower clothing color, vehicle type, color. So all of these can be detected by the camera. And so that's kind of what you see, what we see versus what the camera is actually seeing. Now, where do we start this? Now, of course, this is for the Illustra cameras. It's going to vary based on the Axis and the Hanwha cameras. But in order to enable analytics within the ExacqVision software, the analytics first need to be turned on within the cameras. Most camera brands that support analytics do not have these settings on by default. So in this case, Illustra, in this case, we're going to use the Illustra camera as our example, Illustra camera brand, since that's a sister company of ours. We have the ability to enable face detection or motion detection or AI object classification. And we need to enable this within the camera. And I believe the next slide is going to show motion detection. There's face detection. Now, first point we want to make here when we're talking about face detection versus object classification. Face detection is not facial recognition. Facial recognition is where we identify a person, like this is James Goddard, and they are registered as a person within the software. This is not facial recognition. This is simply face detection. It's far more simple. Face detection is simply detecting whether there's a face or not within the field of view. So, and again, it's a much simpler analytic. It's an easier analytic. It does not require the hardware that facial recognition would require. And as you may know, facial recognition runs into some legal hurdles. Some states have outright banned the use of facial recognition. And so while it is around, it is not, this is face detection. And again, we can avoid a lot of the legal pitfalls with simply doing face detection. And again, this is simply detecting whether there's a face. And this differs from motion detection, obviously. Motion detection is detecting any sort of movement. It doesn't matter if it's a person, a vehicle, trees blowing in the wind, a flag blowing in the wind, a cat, whatever it might be. Motion detection is detecting anything, and you select an area or a region, and that's kind of how it's worked for a while, whereas face detection and AI object classification are apart from that. Now, in addition to face detection, we also have object classification, and these are some of the current analytics that are available. Now, some more basic analytics, things like object detection, abandon, remove, direction, linger and dwell, enter, exit, crowd, queue, perimeter. Those are analytics that have been around for quite a while. Those aren't really object classification. That's just an analytic that's within the camera that detects a certain type of movement or a certain type of scenario, like people dwelling, people lingering, whether a laptop has been removed from a field of view, or if there's a crowd forming, perimeter cross direction. A lot of cameras or a lot of customers would like to detect when a certain, someone crosses into a certain threshold or a doorway or whatever it might be. You can do that with some of these older analytics. This is separate from the vehicle and object classification. So some of the object classification that we have here, we have bicycle, bus, car, motorbike, a lot of different ones there. And then you've got some other newer ones. We're showing the differences between a Flex Gen 4 and a Pro Gen 4. And again, these are Illustra cameras. Axis and Hanwha are going to do a different set of analytics, but it's going to be oftentimes very similar types of analytics that those cameras do as well. Again, Flex Gen 4, you can see what we can do on the left-hand side. In addition to the Flex Gen 4 vehicle types, we've got things like carts, backpacks, handbags. For me, at least the one that I've demoed the most is probably backpack. That's a really useful one, especially in K through 12 scenarios where we need to detect a backpack, whether there was a backpack in the field of view at all. And so you do get some additional object analytics with the Pro Gen versus the Flex Gen cameras. Now I'll show this within the client software, but the cameras simply log all analytic metadata. If you enable object classification at all, there's a checkbox that's basically all objects, detect them. You can search by AI object classification and filter that, and I'll show that a little bit later. But you can also set up rules within the camera specifically for a type of object, whether it's a person or a type of vehicle. You can do that within the camera in addition to simply enabling the AI object classification. So you can enter a rule name, select a rule. In this case, it's going to do person detected. We want to know if a person is detected within a field of view. You select a confidence level. So it needs to be able, confidence level, the camera, based on how far away, the analytic can say, okay, I'm pretty sure that this is a person and I am confident within, 75% that it's a person. So if you want to make sure that it's accurate, you can increase the confidence level that's dictated by the camera. And then finally select the region of interest. So I want to know about people specifically in this area. And so that's how you would set up a rule. And then once you set up a rule within the camera, that will then pop up in ExacqVision as well, in addition to simply searching the all object data. Again, specific analytic rules to create events, notifications, activate I/O ports, etc. You can use live monitoring screen pops within the ExacqVision software to create a specific rule for that analytic. So in this example, you can create a notification whenever a crowd of 20 people is assembled, and then you can add a rule for that. So we can do that. So I want to know if at least 20 people have gathered, and we're going to set up a rule for that, and that will then pop up within the ExacqVision software. And then this kind of goes through setting it up within the ExacqVision software once you're done setting it up in the camera. Now, this, I really need to make this font bigger because I need to really drive home this point. At the very top of the screen here shows the add IP camera list and the camera that we set up the analytic in. When you make a change within the camera, even if it's not AI object classification, it's something else. Any change, pretty much any change within the camera, in order for the ExacqVision software often to pick that change up, you have to uncheck and recheck the camera within our software. It won't pick it up otherwise. So I just want to make that clear. And that's true of Axis and Hanwha cameras too, or any camera. If you make a change within any camera, regardless of the brand, typically you need to uncheck and recheck the camera within the ExacqVision software for it to reacquire those newly changed settings within the camera. So again, I should probably make that font even bigger because hold like a, if I could megaphone that, I would. But you have to uncheck and recheck the camera in order for that to pop up. We have that issue come up a lot of times. They say, well, I enabled it, it's not showing up here. Well, we just need to check, uncheck. There it is. So once you've done that, then you can navigate to the Illustra camera within the Exacq that has analytics set up on it. Click on the Analytics tab to see the analytics that are defined by the Web GUI listed there. And you can set up custom bounding boxes. So this is within the camera, this screenshot here where we've circled analytics and the ability to record on that. You can have a rule automatically or an event automatically set up that way. And you can change how this appears within the software. So you can change, like, I want my bounding box to be a light green. I think that's the default, but you can change it to a yellow border, or you can change it to a blue border, or you can change it to whatever border you want, hot pink, it doesn't matter. You can change that that display type within the camera's individual camera recording page under the Analytics tab here. And again, the selecting record video will record analytic event has alarm video, allowing the setting of pre and post trigger times. So that's similar to motion detection that you've been used to. I want to pre-record up to, we can do 5 seconds if you want to, of the analytic event being triggered. So you can set that up within the camera or camera's individual camera recording page. And then how to search based on AI object classifications. When you have a camera that has analytics connected, or not connected, enabled, it will then pop up under the search page. In addition to the camera's video, right beneath that, as an expanded window or expanded menu, you'll see analytics there, and you can search analytic metadata. And analytic metadata will show up as red on the timeline beneath the actual camera's video. And then you perform the search like you would any other search. You select a start time and an end time, and you can search that time frame for analytic metadata. So from the search screen within the Exacq client, select the camera you wish to search, check the box for the video and analytic metadata, select your date and time range and click on search, and you have just performed a search for AI object classification with the camera's feed. So here's video, and we will play this. We're going to search. Now, let me pause this actually real quick. So, because this is going to go a little bit quicker than I want. We have a video. We're searching the analytic metadata. Now, when you search the analytic metadata, it's everything. It's not just specifically the type of vehicle you want to look for. It's everything. It's every vehicle type that's been detected. I did not mean to do that. Let's go back. Come on. There we go. Okay. It's every vehicle type that's been detected in that time frame, every person. And so what the video is going to show is how to filter that analytic metadata. So right above the search page, there is a filter I say search button, there's a filter that you can show, and then you check which things you're looking for, and then it narrows down the search. In this case, it was yellow bus that we're searching for. This video is pretty quick. I will actually show you how to do this a little bit slower so you can make sure that, so we can ensure that you know what you're doing if you were to perform an analytic data search here. So that was pretty quick. We applied a filter for yellow buses, which is typically going to be a school bus. There may be, I'm trying to think of some other type of bus that would be yellow, but typically that's going to return school buses. And so we can perform a search for that specific type of vehicle using the filters there. Now the next slide is going to do something similar. We're looking for upper and lower clothing color. In this case, upper body clothing red, lower body clothing blue. So that's going to return usually blue jeans and then someone wearing a red shirt. We're applying a filter. You'll notice the analytic data is a big solid red bar down at the bottom, but once we've applied a filter, now it's just little thin slivers there. Oops, I keep clicking. I swear this is not the first time I've used PowerPoint. I don't know why I keep clicking forward. And then some other analytic types that we can look at. These have actually been around for quite a while using perimeter and virtual line crossing analytics. We have a whole video for that, and there's a link there down at the bottom. But the line crossing is if someone's crossing a threshold that maybe it's not supposed to be, we want to be alerted on that. And once you've set up that area detection or area breach, in this case, you can set up a rule within the ExacqVision software that detects, that alerts the user to, hey, someone has just crossed into this forbidden area or whatever it might be. And so you can make use of perimeter and virtual line crossing analytics within the Illustra cameras as well. And I can say with 99% confidence that Axis and Hanwha cameras have that same analytic as well. Virtual line cross has been around for quite a while. Now, in addition to searching analytic metadata, we talked a little bit about this earlier. If you have set up a rule within the camera, in this case, area breach or person detected or whatever it might be, that rule, in addition to the analytic metadata drop-down menu, will show up there. So underneath analytic metadata, we could search that, or we can search specifically area breach, and when it will return the little red slivers of analytic data that meet that criteria. And here in this example, we've got an area breach on the demo camera that we've been using in some of the previous slides here. So very similar. Here, again, another video. We click this. We can return video on area breach. I think that person, I think we've got it set up to line cross into this area here. And that will detect, and is kind of what it looks like there. You'll see a red bounding box. Of course, you can configure that differently if you want, but that's how it shows up by default, is a red bounding box. And so that would be an area breach. So if you've got a specific area, region within the camera, then you can set up an area breach analytic for that specific type of analytic. Again, that's useful in areas where there's sort of an area that's off limits or restricted areas. You can set up area breach. And then finally, creating events using analytics. If you are familiar with our event linking page covered in another webinar, which I'm not sure if we've given that webinar yet or not. I know I've given it to other people, but that one's also good. It's actually shorter than this one. So if you've lost patience with this one, that one is only about 10 minutes long. So, but you can create events using analytics here. Use event linking to tie specific analytics to an event. Very similar to any other event that you would set up. It's an if-then statement. So if this happens, then take this action. You can do the same thing with analytics. People are used to doing things on motion detection or maybe a camera losing connection. But if we want to do a person detected or an object detected, then we want to notify with a specific email. In this area, and just like any other event, you can do this on a schedule. So let's say we have a business that shuts down, in the nighttime, like any other normal business would. During that time, when the building is locked down, send me a notification when a person is detected, because that means that someone's there that's not supposed to be. And so we can get a notification of that specifically for a person. You could theoretically do the same thing on motion, but depending on what might be triggering the motion, whether it's shadows moving or, maybe maybe it's an area that's like, maybe it's a park, there could be wildlife that moves around at night that's shutting it off. That's, sending you a notification like, okay, I got a notification in the middle of the night. Turns out it was just a raccoon. I don't need to know about that. Person detected would mitigate those types of scenarios. And so that's how you set it up through the event linking page there. Again, very similar. Here we have a person detected in the, looks like the middle of the night, or, well, there's snow, so it's maybe not in the middle of the night. That could have been, the dead of winter when, the sun goes down early. But we have someone walking their dog. We were able to get a notification when, so this is at person detected 5:54 a.m. So they're just out early walking their dog. So, but it was specifically in that nighttime time frame that we were looking to trigger that analytic there. So far we've done everything through PowerPoint, and hopefully it's not been too painful. I know that a lot of times we get PowerPointed to death. So for the next part here, I'm going to kind of show this in real time, kind of a real world example here. Not real world, but well, it is a real world example. But I'm going to actually demo it within our software rather than showing you a canned video in a PowerPoint here. So I'm in the search page. By the way, real quick, let me mention this before I actually show this. You can view analytics in live. That PowerPoint did not talk about that. You can view object analytic metadata within the live page by right-clicking video and enabling AI object bounding boxes. However, assuming you've got to this point in life, you yourself can determine whether that's a yellow bus or a person. I don't need to know that. I don't, it's more useful in the search page, but just, for clarity's sake, you can view this AI object classification stuff within the live page as well. But again, it's really more for the search page and doing forensic searching. And what I'm going to do here is we have a demo camera. This is a, here, let's just search the video first. We're going to search this morning. Let's do a 2-hour window. We'll do 7:40 a.m. to it's close enough. Oh, it's a little over 2 hours. So that's today, 7:42 a.m. to 9:56 a.m. I'm going to search that. And we've got video here, and we can click around. All right, that's good. Now at the bottom, this camera is recording all the time. That's what all the green is. Amidst that green, that sea of green, is we've got a little blue areas, blue regions within the field of view where motion has been detected, which we're probably used to. Now you'll notice that this camera also has analytics available. So if I expand that, we could search specifically for a person, people counting, but let's search for analytic data. Let's see how much analytic data has been detected by this camera. So I'm going to select the analytic data. I'm going to redo my search. And as I suspected, we have a large block of red, because that means that a car is being detected. And actually, this guy's kind of mucking up my results up here because he parked his van there, and that's just going to constantly trigger the analytic data, which is fine. That's typically what we're looking at. If you've got a camera looking at a parking lot, you're going to see constant analytic metadata. But let's filter this. So let's filter this by, let's a couple different ways. Let's do the school bus example that we used in the video. So right above the search box here, I click Show Filters, and these are all the analytics that are available. So, okay, what does a school bus look like? We all know that. It's bus, and it's yellow, typically. There might be some white school buses out there, but we're, for the most part, they're going to be yellow school buses. So we're going to select those two characteristics. We're going to redo our search once we've selected those. And so this is kind of hard to see probably, but at the bottom, if you look real closely, there are two thin red slivers showing where on the timeline we believe, or the camera believes, that a yellow bus has appeared. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move my cursor here to right before one of them. And to the left and right of the timeline, if you've performed a search within ExacqVision before, you have the ability to zoom in. I'm going to do that. Makes it easier to pinpoint this little region here. And right after 9:04 a.m. this morning, it looks like a yellow bus was detected. So let's go ahead and play the video back and see if the camera correctly detected a yellow bus. And assuming my demo goes the way I want it to, we'll see a yellow bus come across here. There it is. So that's good. We were able to detect that. And again, rather than me having to sift through a bunch of data, a bunch of video, I was able to detect a yellow school bus there. And we'll pause. So that's one type that we can do. Now, what happens if we clear our filters? Let's show our filters here. Bus and yellow, and hit search. We're going to see all that analytic data come back. In addition to vehicles, you can also detect other types of objects, in this case, person. Now, these are the object classifications that are currently available. That's not to say that there won't be some in future firmware releases or future camera releases. They're always adding additional object types to the web interface of these cameras. And so depending on needs, that kind of thing, we can add additional analytics. For example, I had, well, this is kind of a niche example. One of our customers, the Omaha Zoo, wanted to do some sort of animal classification. Makes sense, it's the zoo. Specifically, they wanted to know about non-elephants because this was an elephant camera. It was in the elephant area, and I said that was very niche, and I can't guarantee that that's going to be put into the camera, but those are the types of things that our product management listens to and puts in there. If anyone here is waiting for a non-elephant analytic, then I can add that to their list, but that's just an example. More generically, animals detection, that's often requested by not only zoos but other businesses as well that need to detect whether there's maybe there's critters somewhere that are causing issues. But in this case, we're going to search for a person, any person. I'm not going to add any classifications there, but we'll go ahead and hit search. Looks like there was one detected right here, and let's zoom in again, make this easier to pinpoint here, and hit play. And so we should see a person come across here. Guess I could have moved that a little bit closer, but likely someone walking through here. Now this person, oh, it's a couple people. Of course, it's hard to tell. They're kind of wearing very dark clothing. And so we could do, yeah, they're both kind of very uniformly black there. So we could have looked for upper and lower clothing color, but the the people are kind of far away, and the different tints there, that would have returned black upper clothing color and black lower clothing color. That would have returned the same results for the most part, but you can get more specific. It's more accurate if the camera is closer to the actual people being detected in that case. So vehicles are pretty easy because they're relatively large objects, but people can sometimes be a little bit trickier if they're far away like that. But just detecting whether there's a person or not in the field of view is usually pretty accurate. So, but again, that's kind of how you use the analytics within the ExacqVision software. You can apply various filters there. Newer cameras have those analytics, and we are able to detect those. Again, you can do good old-fashioned motion detection. We can still do that, but analytics do give you the ability to do some additional forensic searching here. Now, in case you thought we were done with the PowerPoint, I apologize. There's only just two more real quick slides I want to point out here. Just a couple of shameless sales pitches here. ExacqVision Advantage, real quick. We've been talking about the Illustra camera analytics. When you use the Illustra cameras with the ExacqVision hardware, you do get the licenses free. We have a registration page that allows you to get free licenses for those Illustra cameras with any ExacqVision built server. And so you do have the ability to register those. You can always add additional cameras later on with the Illustra Advantage, register the new cameras and get new additional free licenses. And then this last slide is just showing that Windows 11 is now shipping on A series and Q series as of February this year. So for about 3 months now, that's a big advantage when it comes to, especially when you're talking about IT departments. They want to make sure that they have a version of OS that's going to be supported by the manufacturer for a while. Windows 11 is pretty new, so it will be supported for a long time by Microsoft, and we are now shipping that on A series and Q series servers. And we do have an upgrade path. If you go to https:// Exacq.com/upgrade/Windows 11. You can input your serial number and it will tell you whether or not it is compatible, and then what part number you need in order to upgrade that server to Windows 11. If you've got some relatively new servers that were running Windows 10 and you want to upgrade those to Windows 11, you want to keep using that hardware, we do have an upgrades path URL there. And that does it for the webinar today. We are right at 1/2 hour. I, of course, have some time. I can answer questions. Hopefully this is some good info for you. There is, I always forget that these webinars have a Q&A, and I forgot to check that. Oh, it's just Chloe. Okay. Sorry, not just Chloe. I don't want to, you know, Chloe's important too. So let's look at the...
Yeah, James, I had eyes on it. You're good. I think that was very thorough. I appreciate it. Nothing has come in yet, but just like you, I've got a little bit of time if we need to sit here and monitor Q&A and chat. I did in the chat, I added a graphic. This is a webinar series that TPI is hosting. So June 18th, we'll have another webinar for Illustra LPR integration. And we've got a couple good ones that are going to come through the rest of the summer as well. So I dropped the graphic for that. If there's the registration link in there and the upcoming topics for us to review that people can see. Otherwise, I will keep an eye on the chat here for the next couple minutes. We thank everybody for joining us. And yeah, absolutely. If you've got any questions, then feel free to send a chat or send a Q&A, and James and I will get back to you the best we can.
I'm going to pretend that I was so thorough that there are absolutely no questions.
Great job, James. Thank you.
Yep, that's my take on it. So thorough.
And thank everyone for joining this morning.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thanks, David. Is this recorded? Is there a way to get a copy of this, or can you send that? Thank
Judy,
you.
yeah, absolutely. We're gonna we'll post it to our YouTube page, and then we'll share the link with you afterwards as well.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You as well.
All right, then I guess I'll go ahead and turn it off.
Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.